At its peak, the British Empire ruled over nearly 1/4 of the entire world. Its flag flew across continents, its navy controlled the oceans, and its influence shaped the modern world. From the streets of London to the plains of India, from Africa to the Americas, British power reached almost every corner of the planet. But how did a small island nation become the most powerful empire in history? This is the story of rise, dominance, and the inevitable fall of the greatest empire the world has ever seen. Britain's rise did not begin with massive armies. It began with the sea. Surrounded by water, Britain invested heavily in ships, navigation, and naval warfare. While other nations focused on land battles, Britain mastered the oceans. The Spanish had their armada, the French had their armies, but Britain had something more valuable: control of the waves. In 1588, the defeat of the Spanish Armada marked Britain's emergence as a naval superpower. From that moment forward, no fleet could challenge British dominance. By controlling sea routes, Britain gained access to distant lands, new markets, and vast resources. Ships carried spices from the east, cotton from America, sugar from the Caribbean, tea from China. Trade made Britain wealthy, and wealth became power. The Industrial Revolution accelerated this rise. Factories produced goods on an unprecedented scale. Steam engines transformed transportation. Coal and iron fueled rapid growth. Cities like Manchester, Birmingham, and Liverpool became industrial powerhouses. Britain manufactured more than any nation on Earth. It exported machinery, textiles, and weapons to every continent. Britain became the world's industrial and financial center. For the first time in history, a nation could project power far beyond its own borders. As Britain expanded, its empire stretched across Asia, Africa, the Americas, and the Pacific. Explorers, merchants, and soldiers carried the British flag to the farthest reaches of the globe. The empire was built not by one grand plan, but by countless acts of ambition, commerce, and conquest. India became the crown jewel of the empire. With a population of hundreds of millions, it supplied raw materials, manpower, and enormous wealth. The British East India Company controlled vast territories before the British government took direct control. British companies dominated trade. British officials controlled administration. British laws shaped everyday life. Railways crisscrossed the subcontinent. Telegraph lines connected cities. Ports handled goods destined for London and beyond. In Africa, Britain carved out territories from Cairo to Cape Town. The scramble for Africa saw European powers divide the continent. Britain claimed Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and more. Resources flowed outward: gold, diamonds, rubber, ivory. In the Americas and the Caribbean, British colonies produced sugar, tobacco, and cotton. Australia and New Zealand became settler colonies, British in culture and governance. Britain ruled not only through military force, but through systems of control. Railways were built to move resources efficiently. Ports were expanded to support global trade. Administrative governments were created to serve British interests. English became the language of commerce and law. British currency financed global trade. British ships patrolled the seas. At its height, the empire covered over 13 million square miles. It governed more than 400 million people. And people said, "The sun never sets on the British Empire." Because somewhere in the world, it was always daylight on British territory. But empires are not built on glory alone. They are built on exploitation, conflict, and control. millions labored under colonial rule. Resources were extracted with little benefit to local populations. Famines struck India while food was exported abroad. Indigenous peoples in Africa, Asia, and the Americas lost their land, their culture, and often their lives. Resistance was met with force. Uprisings were crushed, rebels were hanged, entire communities were displaced. The British Empire brought infrastructure, law, and commerce. But it also brought suffering, inequality, and lasting wounds that remain to this day. The First World War tested Britain's global dominance. As war erupted in Europe, Britain called upon its empire. Millions of soldiers from Britain's colonies were sent to the front lines. Troops from India, Africa, Australia, and Canada fought under the British flag. They fought in France, in the Middle East, in Africa. They died in trenches far from home for an empire that ruled them. The empire survived the war, but the cost was immense. Entire generations were lost. Economies were weakened, and the belief in unlimited imperial power began to fade. For the first time, colonial subjects began to ask, why should we fight for an empire that does not treat us as equals? World War II pushed Britain even further. Facing Nazi Germany, Britain stood alone during some of the darkest days in modern history. The Battle of Britain proved that air power, strategy, and national resilience could decide the fate of nations. British cities were bombed, London burned. Civilians lived in fear. Resources were stretched thin. The empire was mobilized once again. Soldiers, supplies, and money flowed from every corner of British territory. Britain emerged victorious. But victory came at a heavy price. The war drained Britain's economy, exhausted its resources, and made the maintenance of a global empire increasingly difficult. By 1945, Britain was no longer the unchallenged superpower it once was. After World War II, the world began to change. Colonies demanded independence. National movements grew stronger. Empires became unsustainable. One by one, nations broke free from British rule. In 1947, India and Pakistan gained independence. The crown jewel was gone. Across Africa, independence movements swept the continent. Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe. By the 1960s and 70s, most of Britain's African colonies were free. In the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad, and others formed their own governments. In Asia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Burma chose their own paths. Britain did not collapse overnight. Its empire faded gradually, replaced by a new global order dominated by emerging superpowers like the United States and the Soviet Union. The age of empires was over. Today, the British Empire no longer exists, but its influence remains everywhere. English became a global language, spoken by billions. Legal systems introduced during empire are still used in many countries today. Borders drawn during colonial rule continue to shape global politics and conflicts. In Africa, arbitrary lines on maps divided ethnic groups and created nations that struggle with unity. In the Middle East, British decisions still fuel tensions today. Trade networks, financial systems, and political institutions carry Britain's lasting imprint. The Commonwealth of Nations connects former colonies through shared history and cooperation. Sports like cricket and rugby remain popular in former British territories. Infrastructure built during empire, railways, ports, and buildings still stand. The empire is gone, but the world it helped create still stands. For better or worse, the British Empire transformed the course of human history. History remembers the British Empire not just for how much land it ruled, but for how deeply, how completely, and how permanently it changed